The goal of making Pet Play its own show was to give me a chance to write something haha funny, not laughing through the pain funny. And wow, did I pick the wrong week to do a comedy, gaming, as well as any other culture I can sneak past y'all, news show, didn't I? This week we had yet more massive layoffs hitting the game industry over at TheGamer, yet another nail in the coffin of the already mostly dead games journalism we have left, as well as over at Amazon Games and Twitch. Microsoft remains silent about the Department of Homeland Security using their copywritten characters and material in memes that are not only inhumanely cruel, but also violate US federal law. There's Pokemon DLC news, a toxic Yuri bundle on itch, a likely fabricated scandal in the chess world that may have led to a player's death, and somehow GameStop meme posting their way through financial collapse over on Elon Musk's X is responsible for at least some of it? I'm Fen, this is Pet Play, and yes, I'm doing this show from an office chair instead of the dog bed. I thought it was funny. I mentioned on my Monday news show, Monday Morning News, like a week or two back, that Magic players were dealing with some interesting issues with the new Spider-Man Universes Beyond set, as well as confronting the strange reality that New York City will soon have more Magic set to some of WotC's own planes, but hey, somehow that got even stranger as we head into the release season for the Avatar set. Well, the Spider-Man set had the issue where every card had two arts, names, text boxes. The Avatar set, mercifully, does not have that issue.
What are you suggesting?
It has more surreal concerns.
And the Earth Kingdom. Permanently.
Yeah, most of the set aren't like that. They're, well, normal Magic card art, albeit of Avatar stuff. But there's a sheet of these anime stills that are just like that. A few look decent, like Mystic Remora, but then some, look, I don't even know what to call what's going on here. Why is it called Volcano on Roku's Island? That's just a weird phrase to use like a proper noun. Did it really have no other name? And why is this art so low res? I bet I could go get a better scan off Netflix right now. In fact, I did! The worst part, there's actually a couple of scenes that are represented in both anime stills and traditional Magic art, so we can see exactly how much better these could have been, and what these cards would look like with artist credits instead of telling us what episode they're from, which I'll also add are very annoying to check because episodes are not actually labeled by book and chapter, but season and episode, which do not line up with those chapter numbers. This next one is a little bit more of a personal bugbear, but please indulge me. The Magic Blue Sky account also decided to post actually some pretty fine Katara cards while twisting a threat she made to Zuko about having to actually improve as a person into yet another bit of, oh, it's a woman's responsibility to make men into better people that just makes up most casual misogyny nowadays. Now about those layoffs. First up, as more traditional journalism is being gutted by the likes of Barry Weiss and the entirety of the New York Times, games journalism, already the trans woman of the industry, at least pay and respect-wise, has seen yet another round of hits, this time landing on TheGamer. I know we all like to shit on them for a lot of their low-effort articles, but that's not the fault of the writers who've been laid off. Yes, they wrote them, but it's Valnet, TheGamer's owners, who demand their staff writers work to ridiculous deadlines for a pittance per article, often competing with each other for limited topics, stories, and writing slots. Valnet also own Game Rant, Polygon, Fextralife, OpenCritic, DualShockers, and Hardcore Gamer, running all of them similarly. We're well past the point where games journalism as a career is dying. Heck, we're nearly past the point where journalism as a career is dying, with half of y'all getting your news from independent folks like me. And a lot of us have to also try and source our things from those people still able to work in systemic journalism while not having benefits or healthcare or even consistent pay or W-2s. That's not a good thing. While I know I fact check my work, you have to trust me not to just tell you what I think is happening or what I think you expect or want to hear is happening. While writing for a site or magazine isn't inherently better, it does, at least in theory, come with the standards and, one would hope, journalistic integrity, if not from the writer, then the editor checking their reporting. Of course, Valnet would need to hire and pay editors too, and they'd much rather just have AI do that. But they'd also like to replace the writers with those Azathoth ex machina too. Personally, I hope the laid-off writers from TheGamer can land on their feet, but with the industry the way it is now, I concede I suspect it won't be in games journalism. There's a reason why folks like Anna Valens have been advising almost every games journalist to try and get into some form of content creation, because while it's not stable, it's more stable than games journalism. Also in horrifying firing news, Amazon announced this week they're laying off 14,000 people, primarily in their game development sectors and Twitch. Ethan Evans, the former VP of Prime Gaming, took to LinkedIn way back in February, the last time Amazon had massive layoffs in its gaming sector. Yes, there were 2 of those this year, to post about Amazon's apparent 15 plus years of trying to compete with Steam? Equating Steam to David and themselves to Goliath in a metaphor that wildly misunderstood reality and metaphors? Look, in a David and Goliath metaphor, David is the underdog arriving to deliver a pinpoint strike to a force dominating the battlefield. Being big in one market, like, say, the largest online purveyor of physical goods across the United States, does not make one a dominant force in, say, for example, online digital game sales. Steam was, and still is, Goliath, while Amazon was David's affluent cousin who's been paying exorbitant rates to a chain of professional sling optimization specialists, and occasionally Goliath himself. Look, Amazon, I'm a gamer. And a streamer. I've been streaming since before Twitch was spun off from Justin.tv. The reason you lost is because no one knew you were even in this fight. When Prime Gaming, the system which lets you use your Amazon Prime subscriptions to give one streamer a month of free subscription, hey, if you haven't used that this month, I stream over at twitch.tv/fenoflore. That's PHENNOFLORE, link in the description. As well as get some games and in-game items for free launched. A bunch of its account linking tools were weird, kind of broken, and require you to relink your account month to month. I went to go check Prime Gaming, now recently renamed to Amazon Luna, while writing this story. Not only is that still an issue, but when I went to try and get one of this month's free games, Fallout 3, a game so old it can legally vote as of 2 weeks ago, I discovered that was all still the case, and the site loaded up in French. Mercifully, I can read French decently well, but still weird. The other thing I noticed, the game isn't actually available through Prime Gaming, Amazon Luna, but through GOG. So I went to go find a game that was available through Amazon Luna and found Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest, a $15 visual novel from 2020 that at time of writing, though not currently at this moment, was on sale for $1.50 on Steam. But it's also part of this month's free games on Luna, so you can download it from the Amazon Games app. Not Amazon Luna, that doesn't have an app, nor the defunct Twitch app where you used to download your Prime Gaming rewards and could even watch Twitch streams, but the Amazon Games app. Then you can see all the games that you've claimed from Prime Gaming over the years and play them. But it has no store. None of these games are actually for sale here. It's just an app that checks your otherwise hidden Amazon Games library and lets you download and play them, using the app as a DRM launcher the same way Steam does. But if you want to play Luna games, then you have to go to the luna.amazon.com site, where you can technically buy some games, merely those actually hosted on GOG, EA, and Ubisoft stores. I guess with Amazon sitting in the middle and getting to snack on some of the percentage? But worry not. See, if you already have games through any of those services but lack the PC to play them, you can stream them to your browser a la Google Stadia, or if I say on live, how many of you will even know what I'm talking about when I say I had to wait in line for like an hour at PAX Prime 2011, back when it was called PAX Prime, to get one of those stupid now bricked consoles? I think I still own it. The key, you don't buy those games either. Most games, like that Snoop Dogg AI courtroom thing, are free if you have Prime. It gets confusing because Amazon doesn't list what games are covered by Amazon Luna Standard, which you get by default for having Amazon Prime, versus Luna Premium. So I went and checked each and every game manually because their site is designed horribly, I think on purpose, but who knows. And I discovered these funny regularities that I would argue actually means Luna Premium might technically be fraud? First up, there are about 171 games included in Amazon Luna Premium, but that's including all games covered by Amazon Luna Standard, and at least one of those premium games, I happen to know for sure, fell off literally today. All the game night stuff, the recent party games they just added back on the 22nd of October, those are all included in Amazon Luna Standard, as are the other games added in that last wave, like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and the mid-AF Turf Wizard game. So you gain access to about 106 games more if you pay for Luna's Premium at an extra $10 a month. I say about because, again, at least a few have fallen off today and more are falling off next week. I've been playing a scrolling list of what games are included in Amazon Premium, as well as the year they released, because I think you'll get some amusement out of, again, how old most of this is. But let me just point out some of the funniest examples of those shenanigans. While Sonic Mania is included in Luna Standard as one of those recently added games, Team Sonic Racing, Sonic Colors, Sonic Frontier, and Sonic Superstars, the only other Sonic games on the service, all require Premium. As I just said, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is included in Standard, as is LEGO Star Wars Episode 3. But you need Premium to play LEGO Indiana Jones, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean, and LEGO DC Supervillains. And I said there are 171 games in Premium, about 106 of which actually require Premium, so only 65 or so are available on Standard. Well, of those, 5 are Fortnite, namely Fortnite, Fortnite OG, Fortnite Festival, Fortnite Ballistic, Fortnite Battle Royale, which I thought was just basic Fortnite, but sure, as well as 2 LEGO Fortnite games, LEGO Fortnite Brick Life and Odyssey? I admit that I don't actually know what these games are, that are also included in Standard. Solidly 10% of the games in Luna Standard are Fortnite. But I found one further detail that made this whole thing, like I said, look like an incompetent scam and maybe actually just fraud. If you go to the webpage for any of the Luna Premium required games, which again, you cannot purchase, you can only gain access to them with Luna Premium, there's a button you can click on that says, "What is the Luna Premium subscription?" It informs you, Luna Premium is the higher tier subscription on Luna. It gives customers everything in Luna Standard with an expanded library of high-quality games, including popular EA titles like FC 26 and Madden NFL 26. Luna Premium has a 7-day trial. So no, it actually doesn't give you either of those games. It does include FC 25, though Madden 25 is not on the service at all. But no, both FC26 and Madden 26 require $70 purchases through the linked EA account system. Did you notice what games I didn't mention as part of Amazon Luna? Literally any of the ones Amazon actually developed or published, save for that Snoop Dogg AI courtroom thing. BT Dubs, that team, the creatively named Studio 5, is still going strong, and in fact, while Amazon's MMO New World had its development team axed and announced that the update that just came out on October 13th will be the last the game receives, Studio 5 will be going full steam ahead with more Azathoth Ex Machina-powered party games. Actually, let me read from the galling memo Steve Boom, Amazon's VP of Audio, Twitch, and Games, effectively Ethan Evans' successor, sent to every employee after the one Beth Galetti sent announcing Amazon's new pivot, which only hinted at the layoffs. While these changes are significant, he said, referring to the gutting of the MMO and publishing teams in Irvine and San Diego, we still have a lot going on in game development. Our Montreal studio, yes, it really is just called Amazon Game Studio Montreal, recently concluded a successful closed alpha of March of Giants and is working hard to finish the game. Our Studio 5 team just released Courtroom Chaos starring Snoop Dogg as the launch title in Luna and will continue their focus on more casual and AI-focused games optimized for Luna. In case the intent wasn't clear, Beth Galetti, Senior VP of People, Experience, and Technology for Amazon, said the Eldritchian tech conglomerate is like Tidal when Jack sold Twitter to Musk, Dorsey took over, aiming to become, quote, the world's largest startup by, firing 14,000 people so the remainder have to take on more responsibilities for no extra pay. Or if you listen to Galetti, AI will be taking over. But we all know by this point, AI actually means either a predictive keyboard taking jobs from human beings and usually doing creepy sexualizing crap on the side, or sweatshops in the global south forced to pretend they're a machine for even more pathetic pay. But sure, Amazon Luna is here to disrupt Steam and the entire gaming ecosystem, which is why New World, Lost Ark, Throne and Liberty are all on Steam, but not Luna. Yeah, did you realize Amazon was the publisher on 3 MMOs? It's actually 5, 3 of which they developed themselves. They have a Lord of the Rings MMO in development by one of the teams behind New World, the also extremely creatively named Amazon Games Orange County, in conjunction with Embracer Group of all people, which is different from the Lord of the Rings MMO Amazon Game Studio was working on, but canceled in 2021. Plus, that March of Giants MMO Boom mentioned. Hey, Amazon, maybe the issue is that you're trying to develop or publish half a dozen MMOs in the year of our mutt 2025. Have you considered that they're incredibly difficult to play on your weird controller and browser-based streaming service / Steam alternative? Also, it's kind of nodded that in early October, Boom specifically told Variety in an interview that the new Luna overhaul didn't dictate in any way a shift away from Amazon's own development efforts. I wish the best for the 14,000 people who just discovered that was a fucking lie. Let's not allow this to just focus on the shitweasel executives. This sucks for players too. Well, New World never properly grabbed me. I feel sympathy for its players as a ride-or-die Wildstar girly myself. May you one day rest in piss, NCSoft. And wow, are the New World players getting jerked around! First, they were told the game would still have support through 2026, and that Amazon was, quote, committed to a minimum 6 months notice before any changes would affect the game's playability, as well as a commitment to keep the game running through 2026. Those claims were dashed when the game's Steam page was dramatically altered for a large portion of October 29th. Many screenshots and in-game videos were removed. Recent reviews were hidden, likely because they'd suddenly dropped from mostly positive to mixed. and the ability to buy the game was removed. While these changes were reverted several hours later, the same day, Amazon claimed they were unintentional. This mutt would like to ask Amazon, how exactly does one unintentionally remove the ability to purchase a game? On the Twitch side, the layoffs hit several of the longest term employees left at the company. Not that there were all that many left, including Frisk, one of the few streamers who ended up getting a job at Twitch instead of the usual get job at Twitch, leave to become streamer plan that is a little bit more common. Frisk was key in launching Twitch's charity tool, gave us the animals, aquariums, and zoos category, and who, after a previous round of layoffs, was shunted into the decaying ambassador program and managed to revitalize that as well. Also hit Tarfu, one of the quieter Twitch employees since he ran the fraud program, keeping bad actors from monetizing on Twitch for more than 11 years. DJ Wheat, the former director of creator development at Twitch until 2022, also took to X to say Twitch is where it's at right now because it continues to fire/lose people who actually gave a damn. People who would fight for you every day. This is another name added to that list. Lots of people who care still exist at Twitch, but those numbers are dwindling. I also mentioned Microsoft and the US government, especially the Department of Homeland Security, actively violating federal law in that opening. Well, back on Mutt Day number 12, I mentioned that a remaster of Halo Combat Evolved, retitled to Campaign Evolved, as it will have no multiplayer, was announced to celebrate Halo's 25th anniversary, and that it will be coming to PlayStation. I also mentioned how GameStop posted this bizarre thing declaring the console wars over on the 25th before the White House, quote, posted it with an AI slop image of Trump in a Master Chief costume saluting something off screen rather than the knockoff American flags with the wrong star counts in the image. Well, then it got worse. The Trump White House account posted at least one more regurgitative AI image, further implying that the dictator is Microsoft's copywritten character before the Department of Homeland Security got in on it, using this image, overtly calling for USians to treat those who oppose the administration's wanton cruelty like the Flood the titular Halo rings were built to exterminate. For their part, Microsoft has refused to even comment on the use, an even more pathetic stance than the Pokémon company's simple line about not having given the DHS permission to use their characters or material for that vile video they did a few weeks back with the original Pokémon anime theme. While one former Halo composer, Marty O'Donnell, who was fired from Bungie more than a decade ago, loudly proclaimed that when he wins his next congressional run in 2026, he'll, quote, work with the Trump administration to destroy the Flood once and for all. This will be O'Donnell's second attempt to take Nevada's 3rd congressional seat, currently held by Democrat Susie Lee. Last year, he was the 4th of 7 in the Republican primary, garnering only 6,727 votes. In her primary, Lee received 33,901 and went on to beat the actual Republican candidate, Drew Johnson, by 10,220 votes. Gamefile, aka Stephen Totillo, went a bit further and asked folks who have actually been instrumental in development of Chief himself what they thought. Marcus Leto, credited as the co-creator of Halo and the lead designer of Master Chief, told Gamefile he found the DHS post absolutely abhorrent and added, "It really makes me sick seeing Halo co-opted like this." Jamie Greisemer, one of the head designers for the early Halo games, said, quote, using Halo imagery in a call to destroy people because of their immigration status goes way too far and ought to offend every Halo fan, regardless of their political orientation. I personally find it despicable. The Flood are evil space zombie parasites and are not an allegory for any group of people. On October 20th, it was announced that American chess grandmaster Daniel Narditsky, 29, had died, though the circumstances of his death were vague to say the least and still have not been released to the public. See, before his death, again from currently unknown causes, though many suspect it was that S-word YouTube hits me for saying that sounds similar to sewer slide. 3 days before his death, Nodorowski said on his last Twitch stream on October 17th that he'd been facing significant issues, quote, "Ever since the Kramnik stuff, I feel like if I start doing well, people assume the worst of intentions. The issue is just the lingering effect of it." Naroditsky was referring to a nearly year-long campaign by former world champion Vladimir Kramnik, Naroditsky's own childhood hero, namely a campaign of baseless cheating accusations and systemic abuse. I'm going to be summarizing a bunch of stuff in this next part, so if you want a more complete explanation of why chess has become one of the world's major esports, as well as why cheating allegations that lack any evidential basis are rampant, go check out Sarah Zed's hour-and-a-half long video from July, "Everyone's Cheating at Chess," allegedly, link in the description. The simple answer, at least for the cheating part, is chess is a game where everyone has absolutely perfect, clear information. It's distilled decision-making. There's always a best move. Yes, technically sometimes there's more than one, but in all situations, the exact correctness of any given move is literally quantifiable, which is why computers are amazing at it. While Deep Blue earned 1 win, 3 losses, and 2 draws when it played a best of 6 against Garry Kasparov, the chess world champion in 1996, and then won the 6-game rematch in 1997 with 2 wins and 3 ties. Nowadays, your average smartphone can beat or tie any grandmaster while running on battery saver mode. Stockfish, a free chess engine, can be run on a determined potato, and it's one of the most important tools for learning to play chess competitively today. Engines are used to help players see and learn from mistakes after the fact, as well as develop their tactical style. The problem is, they can also be used in a second tab to just give you the best move to play. Or, if you want to avoid getting caught as a cheater, the second best move. Like League and many other games you might consider more traditional esports, chess uses an ELO system, though they're actually cribbing it from chess, but whatever. In ELO systems, your rank increases are directly tied to taking points away from other players in an inherently zero-sum arrangement. So what do you do if you're 50-year-old Vladimir Kramnik, your undisputed world championship run ended in 2007, and your chess career since has been watching the new streaming world mostly pass you by since Magnus Carlsen took the world championship by storm in 2010. Apparently you take the Alex Jones path. Since late 2023, Kramnik has made baseless cheating accusations his entire brand, though he began specifically targeting Narditsky in October 2024. Kramnik has accused dozens of players of cheating, going so far as to label Chess.com's Tilted Tuesday tournaments Cheating Tuesdays in a May 2004 X post. Though now you're more likely to know him for the 36-game blitz against Grandmaster Jose Martinez, another person Kramnik accused of cheating. That blitz was dubbed Clash of Claims and was back in June of 2024. Jose Martinez won that with 15.5 points, 11 wins and 9 draws, even after Kramnik threw a fit over the computers to be used for the online matches and demanded they be invalidated, aka why the score of 15.5 to 11.5 doesn't actually add up to the expected 36 points. Kramnik also demanded that Martinez play the remaining games over the board, where Martinez has long said he plays weaker, but he still did it and still won. Or you might know him for the follow-up Clash of Blames in August 2024, after Kramnik kept accusing Martinez of cheating, which Kramnik won by a scant 2 points, 19-17. For further context, there were 10 ties in that 36-game blitz, all while Martinez was dealing with both Kramnik's continued insistence he was cheating, and the death of his mother. Kramnik is also now the coach for chess's most well-known cheater, Hans Niemann, since late 2023. On November 2nd, Arkady Dvorkovich, the president of FIDE, also known as the World Chess Federation, made some startling comments at the FIDE World Cup in Gao, India, though there's a bit of missing context I should provide first. On October 23rd, after Narditsky's death was made public, and after myriad prominent chess players and personalities pointed out Kramnik's campaign of harassment, FIDE announced their ethics commission would begin an official investigation into Kramnik's actions. Back to November 2nd, while President Dvorkovich made it clear he did not want to preempt or bias the investigation and had no direct role in its operation, he did tell reporters from the India Express, quote, "We all feel that it," the cheating accusations, "went in the wrong direction. I tried to persuade Vladimir Kramnik informally that he should be less aggressive, not after what happened with Daniel, but actually before the incident, a long time ago, since I felt it's been a bit too much." For an example of what a bit too much is, about 3 hours after Narditsky's final stream on October 17th, Kramnik posted this to X after claiming Narditsky looked to be on so many drugs. He would later post and pin this tweet where he tried to shift blame to a nebulous chess mafia while implying foul play? While none of those posts have been deleted since Dvorkovich's comments were published, Kramnik did change his pinned post to this one, with replies disabled, where he, for some reason, posted pictures taken of his computer screen rather than screen caps of what he claims are emails he sent to FIDE detailing his methodology. I throw them up here, but suffice it to say, they do nothing of the sort, nor do they address that, again, Dvorkovich's comments were about how he'd reached out to Kramnik not in his role as president of FIDE, but informally as a concerned friend seeing a man he respected slipping into absurd conspiratorial thinking and baseless attacks. Sorry, all. In theory, this was supposed to be more positive than Mutt Day, but I do have a few bright spots. First up, there's a new itch bundle organized by B, the Poisoned Lilies November bundle, so named as itch de-indexed every game in the Toxic Yuri game jam back in July, when all the pay pros crap began hitting Steam and itch. It's going all month, and at time of writing has already crossed its first goal and is well on the way to its second. Also, as a reminder, you can go to stoppaypros.neocities.org or yellat.money to learn how easy it is to fight back against pay pros like Stripe and PayPal, as well as credit card networks like Visa and MasterCard. For $15, the bundle supports 15 authors, and you get 22 books, as well as 2 audiobooks that are kept separate from their main books, because some of these books also come with their audios. It's a whole silly thing. There's a lot of stuff in here. Though I will warn you, there are 3 pre-order books, namely Bailey Saxon's Mother of Machines, The Fate of Stars by Dax Murray, and Appetite by M. Zakurik. The horrors have been bad as of late, so I'll admit I haven't had a chance to read most of the books in the bundle, but there are 2 I can personally recommend because I already read them. First, The Grafting of Persephone by Autumn Wolf is an alternate universe story set in Maria Ying's Gunmetal Olympus world, with a plot diversion shortly after Persephone's poisoning, so it won't make much sense if you haven't read the Hades Calculus, which I would also recommend. It's on itch for $7. It deals with themes of identity death and manages to make Ying's Persephone, already the most trans-coded cis character I've ever read, even more so, while also displaying Autumn's remarkable horror chops for an author who generally writes adorable, sweet, soul-filling romance. I can also recommend Ranked Competitive Breast Growth by Beth Leanne and Talia Bott. I should note, this is not Estro Junkies. The novel Bot and Leanne are using their Scribble Hub serial as the first draft for, but just that, the complete web serial. If you haven't heard of this, then please let me be the one to get to tell you about this absurd piece of fiction. Warning, major trans girl brainworms ahead. A shadowy group, or maybe individual, is running a competition where all players are provided lifetime supplies of hormones as well as free surgeries, not counting breast augmentation, obviously, to try and grow the largest breasts in 3 years, with the winner taking home a life-altering sum of cash. The catch, they must be cis men, or at least able to convince the wider community that they're competing against that they are for all 3 years. The story follows 4 roommates, at least 2 of whom know they're trans girls before joining the competition, as they dive down the rabbit hole of the most self-destructive tendencies every trans girl has watched her sisters put themselves through and tried to ignore that she's been doing to herself as well. I'd compare it to Gemma Topaz's Rotten Girl if Pearl was more chronically online. Speaking of which, those 2 books that come with audiobook versions, both are also written by Miss Topaz, Tempting Poison and The Brute of Greengrave and Other Stories. The bundle's link is in the description. You should really go check it out. All these are great authors that, while I have not personally read a bunch of these books yet, I do have the bundle and I just need to carve out the time and the will to live to read them. Speaking of which, hey, if you would like to support what I do, remember that you can like, comment, subscribe here on YouTube, as well as support all my ridiculousness, including my desire to get back into writing more reviews of books, not necessarily with a score or anything, but just so that I can recommend books, because there's a lot of great trans authors, especially on Itch, that I'm afraid folks might not necessarily be seeing. And one of the most important things you can do to support trans women is, well, give us money, but also read the things that we write about ourselves, because we're the ones who know. Oh, right, and you can do that over at ko-fi.com/fen or patreon.com/fen. And for the final story this week, the $30 DLC announced even before the launch of Pokemon Legends ZA, the already $60 game, or $70 if you bought it on the Switch too, got its new trailer and a release date, December 10th, 2025, this morning. I'll get the ragging out of the way first. If this DLC doesn't contain as much story and world expansion as half the base game at that price, we really collectively have got to throw a complete fit. We've let Nintendo get away for years with diminishing polish on every Pokemon game, including, let's be honest here, not demanding voice acting from an RPG series that has been going for more than 20 years. Hells, we let them sell us an intentionally incomplete story in Scarlet and Violet after they took Fashion Souls away from us to force us into boring school uniforms. Kennel me, just compare these in-game models for the same Pokemon between ZA, Violet, and Arceus. They can do better. They keep showing us they can do better. Related, do you know how many Pokemon were in Pokemon Legends Arceus? The official number is 242, though it jumps up to 245 if you personally count regional variants separately, because Alolan and Cantonian Vulpix and Ninetales are in, as well as Hisuian and Hoenn Sneasels. The $70 Pokemon ZA has 230 to start with. Again, give or take based on regional variants. And I suppose it's actually 231 as a mystery gift promotion adding Diancie was also announced and pushed to players this morning, so that one I'm not actually whinging about, to be clear. Besides Hoopa, the trailer for Mega Dimension, the $30 DLC, have revealed, or implied in the case of like Alolan Marowak, which has Cubone and therefore implies that Cantonian Marowak will be around, 30-ish new Pokemon, including at least one more bug type for yours truly to go nutty over. I'll admit I'm not actually the biggest fan of Wimpod and Glossypod, but a bug type is a bug type in my eyes. I'm here for them. Okay, completely justified issues voiced and or implied. On to the interesting bits. First, damn, they're continuing to show characterization in the trailer using stylization and interesting intentional camera choices, and that's really cool and really annoying because it keeps reiterating that they could have been doing this the whole time. Damn it. Second, they revealed a leveling system beyond level 100 that only matters in the DLC area, and I'm actually just going to say that's kind of interesting and reminds me of Shadows of the Erdtree, and is something I think that DLC and game expansions, which I'd argue Shadows of the Erdtree was, should do more often. Third, Ansha is adorable, though donut chef is not really a phrase. Linguistic complaints aside, the system of asking a tiny gremlin girl to turn berries into donuts whose flavor and caloric density affect what's on the other side of the portals Hoopa can open, as well as how long they stay open and how many hyper levels your team gets boosted by, seems really adorable and just downright fun. And I'm never going to bemoan that being in Pokemon. While I've had to extrapolate a bit from the few screens we've been shown, it looks kind of similar to Scarlet and Violet's sandwich mechanics if they didn't hide ingredient effects and just showed you what you'd get for your choices before committing to them. Also, it doesn't make you build a weird 3D stack of slippery toppings with limited camera controls, so even better. Fourth, looks like we're going to be getting some rapid fire missions akin to Mabel's research tasks or the cards in ZA Royale, including destroying these giant, otherwise inexplicable floating Pokeballs. Again, I'm actually pretty here for this absurdity and silliness. Fifth, Korrina's back! She actually looks to have aged in the 5 in-game years since X and Y, and while her outfit is very stupid, it's the incredibly fun kind of stupid, though I do kind of miss the roller skates, but I also miss the roller skates being in the game at all. So, sixth, Chimecho and Bexcalibur are getting Mega Evolutions, and as much as I'd like to do my Torado thing with them, I can't see Mega Chimecho as anything but one of those plastic keyrings used to distract toddlers, and Bexcalibur continues to look cool as hell, right up until it reminds you exactly how it attacks using the blade on its back. Poor thing just can't compete with Glavenus. Hi, Editing Fen here. I realized I didn't record one of my stories, so yeah, this one, yes, I am wearing an Eye Patch Wolf hoodie that is 6 sizes too large and is not technically mine. I guess it's technically an X's, but and I'm not putting on the same outfit again because it's been 24 hours, so I'm just gonna record this story and you have to deal. Hey, you want to know the best part about writing my own stuff? I have quite literally no idea if anyone who will watch this has ever heard of the Protomen, so I might just get to introduce you to something entirely new and really cool. 2 and a bit weeks ago, the YouTube page belonging to the titular band threw up their first video in 3 years before following suit with another on October 28th. I think they've actually done another one too, but welcome to the hell of editing me. Both of them linked to the Protomen's Bandcamp page because holy crap, y'all, Act 3 is coming out on January 9th. Technically, the second song, This City Made Us, has been released before, back in 2015, as a teaser for what Act 3 would theoretically sound like, and holy crap, is it delivering in spades. I'm gonna throw this in here somewhere, but just, this continues to be my best mug, and I'm sad that I don't think you can get it anymore. Okay, enough fangirling for just a second. For those not in the know, the Protomen are a Tennessee-based band, most well known for their 2 previous rock opera albums, the Protomen Act 1 from 2005, and Act 2, The Father of Death from 2009. The first tells the story of a legally not Mega Man leading a one-man crusade, one-robot crusade, whatever, to take back the city controlled by the machines of the evil Dr. Wily before learning the history he knows is generally a fabrication. Act 2 is a prequel, the story of how Dr. Thomas Light's knowledge and will to make a better world for those who come after was twisted by Wily to the point that Light appeared for all the world to be the villain of the tale. Act 3 is coming out January 9th, 2026, though if you pre-order it on Bandcamp, link in the description, you can actually get the first 8 songs right now, and you had better bet I've already done that. Well, I hope you enjoyed the first spun-off, independent feels like a silly word, but the first episode of Pet Play as its own unique show. If you like it, please like, comment, actually, I mean, do all of that anyway, but especially if you really like it, tell me about it, because this was a lot of effort. I really enjoyed doing it, but it's a lot of effort, so I need to know if people actually want to see it on a regular basis, or if I'm just going to do it whenever I feel like there's enough news to do it, or I can go actively hunting more. You can also support over on patreon.com/fen or coffee.com/fen. That's PHENN. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, monetary support is definitely one of the most important, but also sharing this, as with, again, any creator you like. I promise you, if you are telling your friends about stuff that creators are doing, we get so much more from that than our own advertising, because your friends care much more about what you think of things than what some random person thinks of things. Oh, by the way, you can also go to fen.gay to see everything that I do. Currently, I haven't been able to do as much writing because, again, I've needed to stream and put up with the horrors to not have my brain break. But yeah, as a reminder, this stream... Can you tell I'm so used to doing that one? As a reminder, this video, as well as everything that I do, is brought to you by viewers and readers and supporters like you. So thank you very much to April, Fragile Paper, Manfred, Pinball Witch, Pimento, Rose, and Yalk. I literally could not do this without all of your support. Thank you so very much. And hey, again, you can support for as little as $1 or $2 a month over on Ko-fi or Patreon, and it matters a lot. Or you can find my streams over at twitch.tv/fenoflore. Again, that's PHENN. Also, all these links are like down in the description, but you'd have to go through the description for that. Yeah. Bye.